Hello, welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys and the strategies and insights that drive their success. And at Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Chris of No Boundaries. How's it going, Chris?
Living the dream, my friend. Thanks for having us.
Chris, I'd love to just learn a little bit more about you and the background of your agency.
Perfect. I've been in this business for a while now. I actually started off in the corporate world, had an amazing career, really learned a lot, started off in sales. I've really done everything from sales, project management, strategy, you name it. I always tell people I semi-retired in 2019, where my wife and I just finally decided we just want to do things a little bit different. And it's really not to knock the corporate world. I mean, I always say I learned a lot in my career and worked with some really amazing people. So I have nothing but positive things to say. The only challenge is in the corporate world, you're faced with kind of fitting people in a box or businesses in a box. And that's not always I don't want to say the best idea for a small business, but it certainly has its limitations. For some businesses, it works really well and it's amazing. For other businesses, they just need more. And so I think that out of the box mentality where, hey, we have the freedom as an independent agency to do more. That's really where I love and where I love to shine.
It's awesome. And I know that I want to add on to that a little bit more because I know that No Boundaries marketing focuses on providing affordable and tailored marketing strategies for small businesses. And you just kind of mentioned a gap there, but I was curious, are there any other specific gaps that you saw in the market that led you to create a more accessible approach for small businesses?
Yeah, I mean, it really does come down to a lot of these businesses, they focus on lead gen. They just think that they got to feed the beast. And while that is true, there's an element of that I think that is consistent. The biggest challenge is they don't think about the other aspects. Like, was it easy to do business with them? There's just so many other things that really just kind of fall off the wayside, if you will. I always joke with people, they don't teach you this stuff in college. I work with a lot of doctors, chiropractors. They don't teach you that stuff in med school. And when you really think about it from that perspective, there's so much to teach, to educate, to consider in that equation. It really is difficult for them. And I mean, even me as a business owner, like there's millions of things that get thrown across our desk every single day. So it's really helping them kind of cope and process through the madness and helping them with this. It's more of a holistic approach, if you will, versus just a lead gen agency.
Yeah, I love that. And you're starting to see it a little bit more, not so much more. And I think there is a gap a lot for the market too. There's this person, I don't know if you know, her name's Cody Sanchez. She essentially buys small businesses and then either flips them for a profit or just adds them to her portfolio. But her whole strategy, her entire strategy is to buy boring businesses like painting and window cleaning and that type of stuff and just add brand to them. Just look as simple as maybe making everybody wear a purple shirt so that when people see people in a purple shirt, they're like, oh, those are the window cleaning guys. And so there's
Yeah.
these little things that a lot, and I come from a world of small business, right? I grew up with my parents owning a restaurant that we still have actually in Arizona. And it wasn't until luckily I had a little bit of a marketing mind that we thought, maybe we could add a little bit of brand and all that stuff. But you're right. You don't think about those things. It's been this small business is the backbone of America, but we only think about that in terms of this very transactional thing. So I think that's very cool that you're here thinking beyond just lead gen and thinking about all the other things that customer experience. These are things that legacy companies think about. You know what I mean? What is the very minute, intimate experience that our customers having with our brand or our company? And it seems like you're bringing that down a little bit to the smaller guys and helping them grow that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. We joke all the time about all these corporates, and I remember when I was in sales, we had a ton of tools, ton of resources, ton of things to offer businesses. But the truth is, we have the same resources as a small boutique agency that they do.
Yeah.
There's really not a difference, and so really just helping them understand, like, hey, here's some free tools and resources. Here's some things that you can do. It really does empower them to make awesome decisions in their business.
Yeah. And so when you work with small businesses, each one has unique qualities, right? But how do you uncover what sets a client apart and then translate that into an effective and customized strategy?
Yeah, really, it does come down to the onboarding process for us, but more importantly, it's helping them understand their unique attributes, their unique quality, what makes them different than everybody else. I always say I'm not much for the unicorns and glitter stuff. Like I'm not that type of creative. I'm more of a content marketer at heart, but really just helping them tell their story. I think that's one thing as a business owner that we take for granted is our story and what we bring to the table. And just helping them really dig into that. If you're a plumber, okay, what makes you unique? Why'd you get into this business? Why did you do that? All of those things I think are important for them to really embrace and take advantage of.
Yeah. And do you think that do you think that's a challenge oftentimes to help businesses uncover what they are, what they're specialized in or what their brand really is going to be?
Absolutely. I mean, we're really good, right, at what we do. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, sometimes it's really difficult to talk about that. And so I always tell people, my big thing is humanizing the brand. That's one of the concepts that we really try to push on people is make yourself approachable. Create your own engagement through the good things that you do and the positive energy that you bring into this world. And oftentimes people will sit there with deer in headlights. And it's okay, let's start with, do you guys support a nonprofit? Why? And just really take that story and just see where it goes. And then really get into why did you decide plumbing? Why this? And then they'll usually have a story about family or something to really go. Before you know it, we got a pretty awesome thing going. And then boom, next thing, we got a great brand to work with. We got a lot of things to share with people. And it really does create that engagement, that personalization that they need to stay competitive.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. And I'm so glad you're doing that. I've always had I think obviously this love for small businesses. I think that's where my parents kind of made their name and everything. You truly do have the ability to come here and create something for yourself. It's unlike anywhere else where you can kind of create a small business for yourself and really make it and put food on the table. And I think that's a lot of times what these people are trying to do. And I think that's a big challenge that I found working with small businesses is that the gap from seeing marketing as a cost to marketing as an investment. And the way that I phrase it, I come from a sales background, so I've sold a lot of digital marketing. And the way I've always phrased it is, listen, you're getting 10% maybe on a good year in the stocks. What other investment vehicle do you know where you can put $1 in and get regularly $3, $4, $5 back? It's advertising, it's marketing. And if you do it the right way, that stays for a really long time. Do you kind of find that same conversation, maybe not specifically that, but like the whole, like the mental hurdle of getting people over into the hey, marketing is not a cost, it's an investment?
It is tough. And it's because I was in sales too at one point. And when you really think about it, we ingrain that concept into people. And that's unfortunate. I think that big picture wise is the more we can really help them understand the investment side of it. And I always approach like a partnership. That's really how I look at things is you got to teach them, like you got to show them the light and really dispel a lot of the myths out there in this industry.
Yeah, funny. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Now, I know that your services cover a broad spectrum, right? Anywhere from SEO to social media and affiliate marketing. And I know that it seems like you guys have a pretty in-depth onboarding process, but like, how do you decide which mix of services is going to create the greatest impact for each client's specific goals?
I think it starts with making sure that we come in without egos. And I tell everybody, I play nice in the sandbox with anybody. So whether I'm working with another agency, I'm working with an in-house marketing team, whatever it takes, is really helping them like kind of take that initial hesitation, apprehension, whatever it is. Let's just squash that right away and really embrace that partnership mentality is that, hey, we're all here working for the collective. Like we have a goal. This is what we're doing, and this is what we're moving forward with. Oftentimes, I have found in onboarding processes, and we do marketing for a lot of other marketing agencies too. And when you really look at it, a lot of them are very product centric. Lots of questions on SEO or this or that. And really, my onboarding process for us starts off with, what are your goals? What do
Yeah.
you look to accomplish? How are you going to view this particular service or our work as a success? We start off with those kind of high level 50,000 foot questions, and then we'll start breaking it down. But to determine the right marketing mix, it really comes down to, okay, what are you as the client best positioned to do? What resources do you have in place to do this? And maybe some of these things are down the road. Maybe some of these things are tomorrow. We'll just through conversation, we're going to uncover that and figure out what's going to work best for you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. And I guess to kind of build on that, what are some of the key marketing trends or strategies that you're seeing that small businesses should consider to maximize their reach and stay competitive?
Yeah, I mean, I always fall back on things like SEO. I mean, SEO is always going to generate, in my opinion, the highest ROI. But really nowadays, everything, because it's not just a one or done. It's not just one thing's going to make or break a business. Discerning the ROI is going to come from a variety of platforms, variety of channels. The best thing that I can recommend for businesses is really to understand their analytics. We even encourage clients, take a Google Analytics course, get familiar with it, because I'll tell you, I will be infinitely more successful when a client understands their data like I do. Now, I don't need them to be experts. My job is to help them understand and interpret the data. But at the end of the day, if they understand, at least with some vagueness, what they're looking at, it can really help move mountains. So statistics and stuff, obviously, search engine land, some of these search engine journals, some of these big publications, we keep up to date with trends, tips, tricks, things like that. But really, it's the unique attributes of the business that we need to focus on. I always say, if we don't have Google Analytics set up, I'm kind of flying blind. If I don't know where I'm coming from, it's going to be a struggle to see where I'm going. So we set up things like that. The long lost Bing webmaster tools. Like a lot of people, why do you set that up? Nobody cares about it. They're important. All of these metrics paint that bigger picture and give us a direction to move forward with.
Now, you said something there which I thought was interesting, and maybe it's more so that I come from more of a background of sales rather than actual specific digital marketing strategies. You said that SEO is probably going to be the highest ROI activity that a business could do. Now, why is that over something like Google ads or Facebook ads? Is it because SEO has become a little bit commoditized in the sense of it's usually the same general price, but like the returns are outweighed? What kind of drives that thought process?
It's to me, it is really in the grand scheme of things. When we look at how people search, obviously we know, and again, statistically speaking, depending on, and again, this number is going to vary depending on industry, but roughly 70% of all traffic is going to click on organic. So if we're looking at local search, are they clicking in the maps block or below that, the top 10 results? Option two can be paid ads. Roughly the opposite, 30% of people are going to click on paid ads. Either way, search is the low hanging fruit out there. It's not, I always try to teach people the awareness items like, hey, we can throw a billboard up on the freeway just like anybody else can. And yeah, you're going to get in front of 50,000 people, but we just don't know that they need your services. Somebody who's going to Google, who's searching for it, they already have a perceived need. So let's tackle that type of stuff. When you look at data from that perspective, now I want to dive into where do we go with it? What do we do? Okay, so it's all about refinement at that point. So we're going to start refining the keywords and really narrowing it down to what's been in their best interest. And then we go from there. So, I mean, to me, follow your numbers, and SEO, for example, that is your low hanging fruit. That is to me, the most sizable quantity. And plus it's not like paid ads where once you stop paying, you don't have that position anymore. Organic is it's like the gift that keeps giving long term.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. And to talk a little bit more about the numbers, Chris, with a focus on measurable results that you guys have over at No Boundaries, what metrics or KPIs do you find most valuable for small business clients looking to understand the impact of their digital marketing efforts?
Yeah, so I think having a robust reporting platform, more or less, and some place to organize it, I think is the most important thing. Platforms like SEMrush, things like that, where you can consolidate reporting into one wheelhouse. I think that's important. When you understand what an impression, that goes back to my point about, looking at Google Analytics and making sure you understand the metrics. Is that what's an impression mean to you? Okay, great. Now, what's a click actually mean? And each platform has its own value behind each of those things. What's a conversion on Google Ads versus Meta, let's just say. So those type of questions have to be answered, but you need that consolidated approach. That's another area that I find most frustrating for businesses is that they get their Meta reports, their TikTok reports, their Snapchat reports, their Google Analytics reports, their Google Search Console report, their Bing reports, and that's too much. So having a consolidated platform really can, I think, really help a business owner understand that bigger picture.
Awesome. I love that. Chris, this has been fantastic. I love diving deep into small businesses. I think that anybody listening who has a small business is going to get a lot of value out of this. Where can people find out more about you? Where can people find out more about your agency?
Yeah, I mean, obviously visit the website, noboundaries.marketing. So that's our website. That's where we have a lot of our tools, a lot of resources. I have videos, I have all sorts of stuff out there to help people grow. I always say, like, my conversations with businesses are never sales pitches. I'm probably, to be honest with you, the world's worst salesperson. I would much rather educate. I would much rather, hey, start off with this, do this. And then when you get those things done, once you come talk to me, and not because I don't want to work with you now, but it'll make it infinitely more productive for you or more affordable or whatever down the road. So I always start there. I'm happy to look into analytics. I'm happy to do consultations, free advice. I've had a very successful career. I'm very blessed. So it's my give back, if you will, is
Yeah.
just to sit back and just educate, teach, and guide.
Yeah. Things that pay dividends forever too. Cool. Thanks again so much, Chris, for being on. This is wonderful.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.